All right. 1, 2, 3. Boop. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Damon. This is interview part 4, I think. For tonight, I'd focus on this interview focus on the band stuff. Band, marching band. Not bad. There is some of that stuff, but we'll probably leave that for later. So let's just jump right in. My freshman year, we were marching in the homecoming parade from around 29th Street up to the Lakeview Stadium. And for 2-3 weeks before the parade, Mr. Chance had been telling us, if you don't wear your white marching shoes, you have to march in your socks. Well, being a freshman, I'm dumb. I forgot my shoes. Let's just leave it at that. So I marched in the parade. I don't know, 20 blocks, 30 blocks, whatever it is. I don't really know. And by the time we got to the stadium, my feet were pretty much bloody. Just, my socks weren't white, what was left of them anyway. And at one point, of course, all our parents were there and family and everything. My dad noticed I was limping and asked me why. I told him, well, I marched in my socks. Well, why the hell would you do that? Well, because Mr. Chance said we had to if we forgot our shoes, and I forgot my shoes. And so he went and found Mr. Chance and asked him, and said, did you tell my son he had to march in his socks if he didn't have his shoes? Well, no. And at least 10 kids in the band looked around at us and said, yes, you did, Mr. Chance. They're all nodding their head and everything. Well, I might have said that, but I didn't mean it. I was just kidding. And the same kids all kind of shook their head and said, no, you weren't kidding. And, at one point, it got a little heated between him and my dad, and he kind of put his finger in Dad's chest, and Dad said, you get your finger out of my chest or I'm going to whoop your ass. And he kind of backed off, and they all went their separate ways, and I was never more proud of my dad than I was in that moment. Not a good story, bad story, whatever. It's just a story. It's truth as close as I can remember it. This next one's probably going to make somebody pretty mad. During one of the, I don't know, it probably wasn't one of the senior year games. It might have been. It was cold. There was only, I think, one cold game that whole senior year. And usually marching band is fucking freezing. Football season's cold. But it wasn't most of the year, and this game was. At one point, I'd put a whole bottle of water in Bobby Miles' trumpet. He stood up to play and didn't notice that it was 8 pounds heavier than it normally was, and he blew into it, and it completely showered the sax player standing in front of him, who I ended up going on to date years and years later after that. Sorry, Angelica. My bad. I'm an asshole. Sorry. We had a lot of fun on the band trips. I think Jeremy remembers most of this stuff better than I do, but that's all right. We had a bad habit of screwing with the wait staff and leaving just horrible messes, and we'd use if I had a glass of tea, Dr. Pepper was my thing. If I had a glass of tea, I'd put like the whole shaker of sugar in it just to be kind of funny, mostly just because I'm a sugar addict. I know at least one time we filled a ketchup bottle full of salt and pepper and, everything we could find at the table. That next person to use it probably was not happy. Hopefully the wait staff didn't get fired for that. We would set the cups upside down with water in them and put a napkin under it. And if you pull the napkin out just right, it'll make kind of a vacuum and a suction, and the water won't really leak out until you try to pick up the glass, and then it all just comes pouring out. And oops, sorry for whoever had to clean that up. We also had a bad habit of ordering Dr. Pepper when they would ask us what we wanted to drink. They'd say, what? I said Dr. Pepper. Oh, okay. Most of them, I think, knew that we were being jerks. Let's see. If you've never been to a halftime show, well, this may have been an ASU thing. I don't remember. But when you're looking at the marching formations the band goes through, nearly every one of them looks like a vagina. It does. It's weird. Like I said, maybe not so much at Lakeview, because I doubt most of us knew what a vagina really was at that time. But by the time we got to ASU, I mean, every single formation we made, except for the ASU logo, on the field, they all look like vaginas. It was really weird. I thought, but whatever. Uh, One of my buddies, a French horn player named Mark, he, I guess he was bored with band. I don't know. Maybe it was the director. At that point, it was Mr. Graham, and we all loved kind of screwing with him. We weren't super fond of him. Hey, truth hurts. Um, he would just sit there and just completely fall backwards out of his chair, just to disrupt the band, I guess. And I mean, to me, it was just the funniest thing in the world. I'm sorry, maybe I'm a jerk, but hey, it cracked me up. Um, One of our jazz band concerts, we played for the opening of Winn Dixie. I think it was the one right there on the Loop. It's the Christians in Action building now. It was in much better shape when it was brand new. Um, at that point, the jazz band was pretty small. I think it was me and one or two other trumpet players, and it was freezing. I mean, just absolutely freezing out there. I don't know what it was, but that's to me it was the best I've ever played. Maybe because the trumpet mouthpiece stayed so cold or something. I'm not really sure, but it was a great concert. I think. I mean, we all played pretty well for the four people that showed up and to watch. Two of them probably being parents of band members. And the best part, they gave us a tree covered in money, singles and fives and 20s and stuff. And being in high school, we'd never been paid for a gig. We're like, hey, we're rich. Yeah, Mr. Graham took all the money, but we stopped at the store on the way and he bought us all hot chocolate, so that was kind of nice. Um, one of my favorite memories, after one of the football games my senior year, we I got invited by a trumpet player named Tony to go to Fuentes after the game and eat dinner. And I was a nerd, I was a dork, I was a square. I had never got invited to do anything. Pretty much my whole high school career, I was the, go straight home after school and either go to work or do my homework. I didn't hang out with people after games and stuff, and it it was really special. I mean, it was. Thank you, Tony. I mean, it really meant a lot to me then, and it still does today. Oh, Misty Dye. Love her to death. She was always great to me, except when we were marching. She would do flags, the flag twirling during marching band, and during one one section of the show that one year, probably my sophomore year, maybe my freshman year. I think the trumpet line was marching backwards and the flags were marching forward, and she would nail me in the head every single time with her flag. I'm not saying she did it on purpose, but she was damn sure consistent. Which leads to the next thing. She was probably distracted by the insanely loud metronome that Mr. Graham had hooked to a megaphone. Oh my God! Bink, 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 bink. Oh my! I mean, this thing was a million friggin' decibels. It was the worst. And of course, being trumpets, we were usually towards the front, and oh my God, man, it just want to make your ears bleed. So maybe you just distracted her with that loud, noise, and that's why she kept hitting me in the face with her flag. During I think it was my freshman or sophomore year, one of the trumpet players in band, he was also in football. Actually, I think half the trumpet players were in football. This one guy, I'm not going to name him by name. He probably doesn't want to hear this story. Not that we're friends on Facebook or have talked in 25 years. But he decided he wanted to play football. I think it was a playoff game because we were at San Angelo Stadium. We'd never played there back then. It was always Lakeview games at Lakeview Stadium until it was playoff time. Because then the crowd would be bigger. I think we were ahead by a million to one or something. And there must be an ambulance driving by. My dog is howling in the background. If you don't hear that. So they put in the second and third string guys, give them a chance, and we were like on the 20-yard line, about to score, but I guess for whatever reason they gave it to this guy to kick the ball, and we were punting for some reason, and he went out there and punted, and I kid you not, it went backwards. He literally kicked the ball behind him. I don't think they scored a touchdown off of that, but they might have. And I just remember, see, you should be up here in the stands with the rest of the band where you're decent, as opposed to on the field. Sorry. Another guy that played football during band, or also was in, played football and did band, was a guy named Darren. Great trumpet player, damn good football player. He was on the team when they, definitely on the team when they made the playoffs, and with Sterling Gilbert and all them other guys that I don't remember their names because I didn't give two craps about football really. He one time most of the football players would not march, during the halftime show, but Darren, I think every game, or at least one. I mean, maybe it was just the one. I remember the one for sure. But we're out there on the 50-yard line marching, all in our dorky band uniforms with the big birds on the top and all that crap. And he's in his football gear. He may have taken his shoulder pads off, but he was in his football outfit playing in the band during halftime, and it just, I don't know. I think he probably got in a little bit of trouble for that from the coach because they want you there, discuss strategies and yada yada whatever. But it always, it made me and I think the rest of the band feel appreciated that he would, skip the halftime break to come march with us, which is no picnic really. I mean, it's still, well, it's physical work. Thank you for that, Darren. He also used to give us a ride to jazz band stuff because it was always butt crack at dawn. I think it was like the National Prayer Breakfast thing over at the convention center. And he'd pick us up. I think he had a Camaro, Trans Am maybe. I think it was a different guy that had the Mustang, but he'd pick us up in his badass muscle car. And it might have been me and Wade Day. And he's the one that first introduced me to Adam Sandler. We were listening to Adam Sandler stuff on the way and just dying. I mean, especially me. I'd never heard this stuff. His comedy CDs, and God, man, that was just the funniest stuff ever to me. And, it was great. Another thing Darren introduced us to was beating the hell out of each other with our trumpet mutes. We'd sit there and smack each other in the knees and elbows, and I mean, it was so dumb, but looking back, it was friggin' hilarious. We would also take our music, lyres, I think that's what they're called. What you like when you're marching, you clip them to your instrument that holds your paper, your music sheets, and we would. And these things had damn good springs, and we'd clip them to our ears and our nose and stuff just to see who could take it the longest. And I would like to say that I seem to recall being able to hold out the most, generally. Maybe not always. Nose, big old nose like this, is pretty sensitive, but it's pretty dumb. My senior year, we went on a band trip to St. Louis, and that was a lot of fun. We at one point we went up in the big archway to the west, archway to the east. It depends on which way you're facing. Doesn't matter. Crazy tall arch in the middle of St. Louis, and we looked down, and everybody who wasn't in the arch, maybe they were afraid of heights. I don't know. This thing was tall as hell. Tiny little like roller coaster chairs you go up in, and they were spelling out LV on the LV on the ground with their bodies, and that picture exists somewhere. I'm positive of that. And it was cool, looking down and going, thinking, hey, go Lakeview, Lakeview Pride. Also, spent a lot of time on that trip making out, sitting right behind the adult sponsor, who, when we got back, I think she said, I'm so proud of you. You didn't cause any trouble or do anything bad. I'm not sitting there thinking, okay. I mean, I had a titty in my hand the whole time, but yeah, okay, yeah, I was good on that trip. Sorry, I'm not gonna tag anybody in this video because of that right there. But anyway, moving on. My senior year, I had a blue Ford pickup, and after Lakeview burned down the end of my junior year, the band would meet at the Lincoln Band Hall because it was only 3 blocks from school. And on the way back, it was always the very first class of the day, so everybody would just get dropped off at the band hall, and then everybody would pile in my pickup, and I'd usually stop at Town and Country and pick up a Coke or a snack or whatever. And I'd have like 15 kids in the back of my truck and at least 3 or 4 or 5 in the front seat, and dangerous as hell. And looking back, it was so dumb. I'd be swerving all the time, like, oh my God, there's a butterfly. I'd swerve the truck, and never, never occurred to me that I could just instantly kill 15 people just like that, or seriously maim them for life. And everybody who survived riding with me in high school, sorry. Thanks for hanging on. I'm really glad I didn't kill any of you. That would have been horrible. At some point, that shitty old truck, the gear shifter, the little pin holding it in, would always fall out. And so I'd be driving down the street, and I'd just pull the gear shifter out and act like, oh my God, it's the worst thing that ever happened. And a few people would freak out and start screaming and yelling and try to grab the steering wheel. It wasn't automatic. It didn't matter if the gear shifter was in it or not. I wasn't trying to put it in park or anything while we're driving. But it was kind of funny. One girl had driven her dad's pickup all the way across town from the base or something with the emergency brake on. Not going to name her. And when we park at Lincoln, one of us would usually go outside, and she never locked the truck. And we'd go put her truck in the neutral, and it would eventually roll off. And sometimes it'd roll a few feet. Sometimes it would roll out basically into the street. And I'm really surprised she didn't kill us for that. She definitely should have. We deserve to get our asses beat for that. There's no denying that. I got into a little bit of a destructive mode my senior year. We would start egging people's houses and toilet papering and stuff. And if your house got toilet papered or egged in high school, it was probably me if you were in band, or if you had chocolate put under your door handles or anything. I know somebody that knows that was me. I forgot that I admitted it to her. My bad. Sort of. Yeah, so we were egging a lot of people's houses, especially Mr. Graham's house. And, I went with my best friend at the time. He's the one that showed me whose house it was. And after that weekend, I started taking, other band people. I'd take 2 or 3 at a time. We'd go egg his house. And after a few months of doing that, my best friend went with us again, and he's like, dude, what are we doing here? Well, we're egging Mr. Graham's house like always. This ain't his house. He lives a block over. Oh, shit. We've been egging the wrong guy's house. We have, sorry to whoever's house that was that we were egging, thinking it was Mr. Graham's house, but it was not. So, sorry to whoever you were. I ended up dropping out of band my junior year. I ended up just not enrolling in it because I really was not happy with the leadership of the band. And my junior high band director, Mr. Henry, his wife taught choir at Lakeview. And since I hung out in the band hall all the time, she knew me pretty well from junior high on up, and we always stayed friends. And she had heard through the grapevine and mentioned that I wasn't going to do band that next year. And she said, hey, choir, come on, now's your big chance. And I'm like, no, I don't sing. I'm not any good at singing. I said, well, why don't you be in show choir? All you got to do is, do jazz hands and dance. So you don't have to worry about the singing part. We got that. Just basically, you'll be a warm body. And so I joined choir for the first time ever. I'd never done choir, junior high, high school, or grade school, really. And it was a lot of fun. We did, one show was That Thing You Do, the Tom Hanks movie. Fantastic movie, great music. And I got to be the drummer. So at the end, I'd put on glasses, and I had a pair of drumsticks, and it was dumb. Like I said, I generally got the speaking parts in all the music. We had our Christmas show. I got to be Elwood, the midnight DJ, when we sang "Don't Make Me Play That Reindeer Song No More." It was pretty fun. It was goofy as hell. One story about choir: we went to Abilene for a choir contest. So I'd been to Abilene a billion times for other band stuff and ROTC stuff and whatever. And we're standing there in line, and we go up to sign in, and it's like, okay, name Damon Bell. Don't see it on the list. I said, well, I'm with Lakeview High School, San Angelo. Yeah, you're not on the list. There's a lot of other kids, but not you. That's weird. So why don't you go talk to your teacher and see what's up? So I went into the teacher's lounge area, wherever they were at, and they were probably all half drunk already. Just kidding, probably. And went up to Miss Henry and said, hey, they said I'm not on the list. to perform. And her eyes got wide as saucers, and her jaw hit the ground, and she said, "You're not in regular choir." Yeah. Well, to be in show choir, you have to be in regular choir. You're the only person that I let be in show choir without being in regular choir, and that's when we did the sign up. So I forgot to sign you up. And she started bawling her eyes out. I said, "I don't sing. I'm not a singer. It's not one of my strong suits. Never has been." And I wasn't upset a bit. I was happy. I got to go screw around all day. Didn't have to worry about the aria that I didn't practice. So. And I kept trying to get her to calm down. I said, "Henry, it's okay. I'm not upset. I don't care. I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be singing here anyway. Just it's okay." And I'm not sure she ever forgave herself for that, but I mean, I thought it was hilarious. One of the guys in choir, I think it was his first year also, perhaps. He was a big track star. He was the fartingest sumbitch you ever smelled. I don't know what it was, but that dude was just farting constantly in choir. You know how hard it is to sing when you can't catch your breath because you're afraid to breathe? Yeah, it sucks. So thanks, buddy. Whatever. You were good at track. You sucked at choir. Also, during my senior year, everybody was huge into wrestling. WWE, the NWO, the Wild Pack, or some crap. I don't. Whatever it was. I think The Rock was in it, and Sting was back with his white makeup, not his yellow stuff, and it was whatever. It was crazy. And Junior and all of his buddies were huge into that. So I joined in, and we were having a wrestling match at my house once because I had a pretty big yard and wasn't too full of stickers. And them guys got into it. They were rolling up against the fence, cutting their heads, and all this stuff. And I didn't know my butt from a hole in the ground when it came to wrestling. But I tried, and so we all got to pick our intro songs. I picked Bohemian Rhapsody, which, as you know, is about a 7-minute song. And I really only liked, the middle third of it. It's loud, it's rocking, it's good, and yeah, it was the most boring thing ever, just waiting for me to make my intro, and it was yeah okay, hey, I'm ready to wrestle. 5 seconds. It was stupid. But all that wrestling led to an injury. Not even that day. After band one day, we were all walking out to my truck to go over to Lakeview, and a couple of guys were wrestling at the edge of my truck. I think one guy was actually wrestling with my truck. Whatever. And so I generally carried a knife. Um, I'd had at least 10 knives confiscated by the principals and teachers at Lakeview. Like, Damon, I told you about this. And never got in any trouble, never a write-up or anything, just kind of a verbal warning. And so I pulled out my knife, just trying to be funny. This thing was sharp as a friggin' razor, all serrated and everything. And I'm, "Come on, man, come on, why are you messing with my truck?" Da 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 da. I was not serious at all. I love the guy. He was a great kid. And I ended up slashing out towards him. And hell, I was probably as far from him as I am from the camera right now, which is at least 5-6 feet. He reached out and tried to grab the blade, and it cut his fingers to the bone. I mean, the pinky, I think especially. I mean, you could see bone. It was deep. And we all started freaking out, and we rushed back to school, got him to the nurse's office and everything. And that was the first time I ever got in any kind of real trouble at school. I got a few spats at Goliad, maybe a spat or two at Lincoln, but by the time I was in Lakeview, I was pretty square. I could admit that now. I was a dork. I just never really got in any trouble. And I got OCS. I think it was for 5 days. They let me out after 4 because I was the only one in there who wasn't a usual troublemaker, and I was the only one being punished in there, really. Everybody else was in there constantly. They got in OCS to get out of doing school. And so for me, I would do my a week's worth of work the first day I was there. And they didn't give me any books to read, I don't think. And so I just sat there being bored for 3 more days till they let me out. And Julio, I'm sorry. Sorry for stabbing you. Sorry for it's not my place to apologize for that other thing with Rachel. But anyway, yeah. So in case you didn't remember, the school burnt down into my senior year. Moving on from that last story. Sorry, Julio, again. The school burned down, and at one point, I guess they gave all the parents the number to call for the insurance company to claim any damages or losses you had in the school. And my mom called, or they called us, whatever it was, and said, "Well, the band hall didn't burn or anything, but it got a lot of smoke damage and water damage. Um, what of yours got damaged?" Mom told them. She asked me about it, and I said, "Oh, nothing but the case. My case was raggedy, but it did smell heavily of smoke." And so they said, "Okay, well, how much is a new case?" And I got the fanciest one I could find, a good travel case. And it was like $200. She's like, "Okay, what about the trumpet? Did the trumpet get damaged?" No, it's solid metal. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. None of the instruments got damaged. It's like, wait, what? Yeah, none of the instruments got damaged. I mean, they may be a little smoky, but I mean, just the case is really the only thing that got damaged in all our uniforms and stuff. Well, every other parent has been asking for a brand new instrument. I mean, it's like every single other person's getting at least $2,000 or $3,000 for a new instrument, and all you want's $150 for a case. Yeah. Oh well, I'm gonna look into this. So sorry for snitching y'all out. I'm gonna blame that on Mom, although it's not really her fault. But well, that's it for the band stories for now. I will be back with my favorite teachers and some ROTC stories and some other random stuff. Uh, if any of y'all are interested in this, I'm going to start trying to do this professionally. No comment. No comment. If you would like me to come to your house and film you being interviewed, I would love to do that. Um, we could work out a fee. I can generally do a half-hour interview at a time, because that's all my camera will do before it turns off itself. So hit me up on Facebook, or if you know where I live, if you're still here in San Angelo, stop by sometime. So nice talking to you. Thanks for listening and watching, and go LV, baby.